So, how is this whole immigration thing going? Hey, all, I have a quick ask from this side of the camera. If you hit this link, please smash that like button. And also, please consider subscribing to the channel if you are not. Both of those will help me out a great deal. Hey everyone, as I come off my August hiatus, I'm going to get started with some politics and some current events. So this is not going to be to tell somebody what to think and how to vote and what they should do. This is a current event. And on this channel, I do current events sometimes. Again, knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And I want to turn this channel into an information center and a thought hub. Next year is an election year. Things are already heating up and getting testy, and we are just at the beginning. So let's jump in. So, this whole immigration thing, we know that it was a big deal for the last administration, and it's been a big deal for this administration. And as I'm looking around at some of our cities like New York and Chicago, where there are where the Black neighborhoods are getting guests that they did not anticipate on getting, things are heating up there. And what's interesting is if you listen to what some of the people are saying in those neighborhoods, some of those things sound eerily similar to what a former president said. So, and I've been looking and saying, what's going to become of all this? Is there going to be some sort of, I don't know. Well, David Paterson, in the article that I'm going to read here, it's a short piece. David Paterson is alluding to that in this piece. So to YouTube, to the people running YouTube behind the curtain, this is just current events. This is not me telling people what they should do. This is not me inciting anything. When I open up my Microsoft Edge browser every morning, there are articles there on topics ranging from A to Z. And when I saw this one, I said, oh, that looks interesting. That would make a nice video on my channel. So let me jump in here. So this is from the Independent News, and it is entitled, David Paterson Warns of Potential City Revolt Amid Immigrant Crisis. Now, keep in mind, everyone, as I read through this is very short. Today, we're almost living in different bubbles and in different silos, almost in different worlds. So there are people who don't know that this is going on. There are people who are none the wiser that these issues are taking place in these communities where the migrants, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, the newcomers, there are people who don't know that this is going on. And when you tell them about it, they're surprised. So this reads as follows. David Paterson warns of potential city revolt amid migrant crisis. So for those of you who don't know who David Paterson is a former governor from my home state of New York. He was the lieutenant governor for Eliot Spitzer. I was a postdoctoral scientist at the Wadsworth Center in Albany, New York, when Eliot Spitzer took office. Well, I was definitely there when he had to leave office, which is a whole story in itself. But when he had to step down, David Paterson assumed the role as governor. And so David Paterson has an intimate knowledge of New York City and New York State. Okay. This was written by Gemma Iso 2 days ago. There's Uncle Joe right there. Well, he has numerous names, but I'll call him Uncle Joe. Okay. New York former Governor David Paterson issued a stern warning about a possible uprising of U.S. cities against the federal government due to the escalating migrant crisis. Paterson criticized what he sees as a lack of willingness and ability to address the crisis effectively. There does not seem to be any willingness or ability on the part of the federal government, he remarked, highlighting the growing frustration among city officials and residents. As tensions continue to rise, Paterson suggested that the growing discord between cities and the federal government might lead to a city versus country revolt. He argued that such a drastic scenario might actually be necessary to awaken the Biden administration to the urgency of the situation. Paterson emphasized that while people are sympathetic to the plight of migrant individuals, there needs to be a comprehensive plan in place that considers the capacity and resources of each city. So Paterson blames Biden. The former governor placed the blame squarely on the Biden administration's shoulders, accusing them of hastily dispatching migrants to various cities without proper planning. Paterson asserted that a more thoughtful and gradual approach was required, allowing time for cities to adjust their facilities and capacities to accommodate the influx of migrants. New York City is currently spending approximately $383 per night for each of the 25,600 asylum seeker households it shelters, with migrants being housed in nearly 200 facilities across the country. Across the city. Overcrowding has become a significant issue, with some individuals even resorting to sleeping on sidewalks in the heart of Manhattan. Highlighting the financial strain, Paterson revealed staggering figures. With more than 57,300 individuals currently in our care on an average night, it amounts to $9.8 million a day, almost $300 million a month, and nearly $3.6 billion a year. As cities grapple with the consequences of the migrant crisis and federal inaction, Paterson's words serve as a stark warning of the potential consequences. The scenario of cities pushing back against the federal government raises questions about the balance of power and responsibility in handling such complex and pressing matters. As the nation watches the situation unfold, the Biden administration faces mounting pressure to address the crisis head on with a comprehensive and collaborative approach. So, as promised, that was a short piece, but an important one nonetheless. I thought it was interesting that in that article, they were referred to as migrants versus immigrants. So, shout out to Dana. Dana with the data. She goes on with Judge Joe Brown, but she is very sure to refer to them as migrants as opposed to immigrants. That's one thing. Once again, there are people in the country who don't know that this is going on in cities like New York City and Chicago and in other urban areas and municipalities. And as I was reading those figures that David Paterson listed, I was thinking, where's the money for all of this coming from? You know, money's going over to Ukraine, and now there's this, and there are other things going on. Where's all the money for this coming from? I mean, there are people here who need things. There are people who need their Social Security, they need their Medicare, and I don't know. I just don't know where all the money for all these things come from. Now, what I will say, many of you know that I have taken an interest in population decline. Many of the, well, actually, I'll say most of the Western countries are in population decline. Me and a mentor were just talking about this a day or so ago. This is a part of that. This is a response to that. Our country needs bodies. It needs more people on the bottom paying into the system. And our country needs bodies. And Senator Chuck Schumer, I don't agree with everything he says and does, but flanked by Hispanic politicians months ago, he came out and said the population in this country is not doing a good job or an effective job replacing itself. Okay. And I think that didn't get a lot of coverage, but I think that for the people who are from this country, I think that more transparency in terms of why they're doing this and why they feel like they need to do this, I think that will be better. Of course, it will probably be unpopular to say out loud, like Chuck Schumer did, that the population here is having a problem replacing itself and reproducing, because then you go back to the what and the why. Why is that happening? What's changed from 50 years ago? So maybe this is just the best way to address it. But again, I think some transparency here as to the why they need to do this would be helpful for everyone. And again, I would urge people to listen. If you listen to what some of those angry citizens in Chicago are saying, and some of the angry citizens in New York City, what they're saying, they sound eerily familiar and they sound eerily similar to some things a former president said that were very, very unpopular. So I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I want to acknowledge David Paterson for stating that. I was looking, and I am looking at everything and saying, okay, is something really bad eventually going to happen? How could it not? So I want to applaud David Paterson for stepping up and saying this. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. This is Big Discussions 76, my original channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're new. If you are not new, please like and share. If you want to donate something, that information is below in the description box. You can also leave a super thanks if something here resonated with you. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer with 2 blogs and a book project on the way. And with that, everyone, as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Remember, everyone, the election's coming up next year. This video was not to tell anyone to go to the right or to the left, but this is a current event, and this is a situation that is unfolding in front of our eyes. Of course, if you're paying attention, some people don't know. And again, some people are in their own individual little silos. So, all right, everyone, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.